Hey everyone, and welcome to Module 2. We're going to be talking about some editing. So, we're going to build off of everything we learned about the camera, about narrative structure, and why the heck we like film. One of the most crucial aspects to filmmaking is editing. I've heard it called the final draft of your script. That's what editing is, the final draft of your script. So you have to have a narrative backbone. It's not just about slapping together shots and seeing what works. There's a constructive academic approach to how we want to edit. You have to be very creative. You have to be able to problem solve. Maybe all the shots didn't come out great while you were filming, or maybe you're just the editor, you didn't film it at all, and it's like, wow, none of this footage makes sense. You have to figure out how to connect it so that the audience understands it. You have to have a good sense of timing, and there's all sorts of things that go into editing. I had a professor when I was getting my master's who said the best editors tend to be musicians because they just have an innate sense of timing. Editing can also be one of those things. I tend to find the students who just can't walk away from the computer. They're editing and it's just not perfect enough. They keep going and going and going, and they'll turn it in and, oh, Professor Foss, I'm so sorry. It's not what I wanted it to be. It's not good. And that's fine. That's an okay place to be. That means you're a filmmaker, because one of the hardest lessons to learn is that you don't finish a project, you abandon a project, more or less, like, right, you just kind of walk away and saying it's never going to be perfect. No art is ever perfect. So if you find yourself in that spot where you're like, oh, I spent weeks on it and it's just not, that's fine. It's going to come with practice, but you're going to find you're going to get hooked on it because it's a lot of fun. If you don't love the editing process, that's okay too. There's so many jobs in film, but it should be an aspect of filmmaking that you learn. I myself will sit down with an editor usually, and we kind of work together. I edit my own stuff, and sometimes I've handed off footage. So I've done all three. I really do enjoy it. I'm a bit of a Luddite. I don't like electronics, so it's hard for me to sit there for, 6 hours at a time. That's about the max anybody can sit there and work creatively. And it'll happen. Just like, the reason I don't play video games is you start at 1 o'clock and next thing you know, it's like 2 a.m. the next day. So, it's kind of one of those things where it can start to consume your life. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at what you can expect. Here is the breakdown. So this module is going to be kind of contained the 11th through the 23rd. Always double check directions, due dates, things of that. Go ahead and read Chapter 3 of Bare Bones if you haven't already. I have a few lectures for you to watch. This one is a little bit more, I don't want to say lecture heavy, but it's a little bit more video heavy, only because this is one of the trickier parts of doing a class like this online, is because I'm not there if you're having issues. I want to provide you enough material that you can edit along with me. So there's a little bit more here. If it felt overwhelming, like, oh, I was just watching a bunch of stuff, don't worry, it's not always going to be like that. And we'll kind of go through what the lectures are. You'll just have one short assignment during this time, but you'll have two edits to work on. My suggested films for this module, so you can see good examples and a variety of examples of editing. There's 3 films here. 2 of them are a little bit older. One is very recent. Election. It's Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon. It's about a high school election. This is a more comedy approach to editing and employs a lot of really cool different strategic uses of it that kind of showcase it, editing from a comedy standpoint. Then we have a movie like City of God that's probably got a cut every half of a second. Lots of energy, lots of intensity, lots of editing. More of a handheld, gritty, feel like you're watching a documentary. Tremendously good movie, though. One of the greatest films ever made, City of God. It's in Portuguese, just so you know, but it is, if you've never seen an international film, it is a good one to start with. Very much rated R. In fact, these two films here, if you're, they are rated R. This one does deal with topics of a sexual nature that some might find unpleasant, and this one is very violent. Just so you know ahead of time. I'm not requiring you to watch these either. Tar just came out recently with Cate Blanchett. I believe it came out within a year. Very long, very slow edit. Lots of very long shots. So this is all just suggested films so that you can kind of see what's out there. You might have a streaming platform that you can find some of these on. There might be the DVDs, the school library, or you might stream them on like Amazon, rent them, something like that. Highly recommend all of them though. Okay, so that's the overview. Let's see what's in these lectures. Okay, so I put this up at the top. There's nothing there, but I didn't know how to put like a title banner. So watch these in the order that they're here. Just watch them. There's nothing to this right there. Okay, so I'm actually going to move that. There we go. That looks better now. Okay. Cool. So we have the lecture on editing, just a little bit of the history, the practice, and the terminology, right? Here's an example video from online, from Rocket Film School. They do some good stuff. This is where you can kind of see it, some of those terms come to life a little bit more. Great video, not very long. And then this will tie into that one short assignment that I said you had, assignment number 4. This is about Walter Murch, one of the greatest editors of all time, and he talks about his 6-step approach to editing. Very short, I think it's 5 minutes long. And some good stuff for you to consider as you begin editing. This is another video with yours truly. I'll be going through step-by-step how to use Premiere Pro, and I'll be kind of tying this into your first edit, the Eagle edit. So I'll be kind of doing that with you and give you an idea of what I'm going for. This video here, not very long, and you might want to watch it before you edit, before you start. It might be some problems that you don't encounter, but it's just kind of a good visual so you can see where some students in the past were maybe going astray from that aspect ratio we were talking about and that frame rate that we were talking about, and it will help you with your export settings. You're going to hear me use the export. That just is the video. So when you open Premiere and you export, you edit everything together, and when you're done, you export the video, which means it goes outside of Premiere and becomes, it more or less glues the footage together. And so sometimes I'll say, turn in your export. That just means don't turn in your project file. That means turn in the exported video, the thing that you are watching. Okay? I'll go into that more in just a second too, but watching this will just maybe kind of help clue you into some issues that you might have down the road. But if you watch this first, you won't run into those. It'll help make it a little bit more sense. Okay, lastly, Star Wars and the edit. This is not a required. It's a little bit longer, but it's worth it, especially if you've seen the original Star Wars. This is a good example how a film that's without a doubt the most influential film in American cinema and probably world cinema, that's just influenced film what it is today in all its aspects. You can see how the edit saved it. It probably would not have done well or been what it is today had it not gone through a very rigorous edit process. So if you've really enjoyed editing, or if you really enjoy Star Wars, this could be one to watch. But just in general, it might be worth a watch. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. So just this number 4 assignment. And I'm just for your own benefit, this doesn't mean you're missing 1 through 3. Those were on module 1. For my own, what do I want to say? For my own benefit, I number things this way because Blackboard, when I'm grading it, makes it kind of crazy. So it just helps keep me in order. But what you're going to do is just find a film that you like. Maybe it's one of those that I recommended. just tell me about it. Give me a couple paragraphs. You know, find a scene, and it could even be from a film that you like. Look and see if the scene is on YouTube or Vimeo or somewhere like that. You don't have to post the link, but it'll really help me to understand what you're saying sometimes. Just talk about it. What stood out? Use the terms that you learned about in the lectures. Okay, and then just tell me about it. Editing is a little bit instinctual, it's a little bit from your gut. So that's kind of what I'm just get your filmmaker instincts to work. And then lastly, count how many cuts are in the scene and count the number of shots used, right? So if it's two people talking, probably they're cutting back and forth between the same shots. But try and find something that's just not a dialogue scene, unless it's a really gripping one or something like The Godfather, that it was done in just more than a unique way of over the shoulders. And those films are out there. So try and find one that's unique. Like I'm not interested in one that's the camera was over one character's shoulder and the other and a wide shot and that was it. Yawn, right? Not too much fun. Okay, so that'll be worth 10 points, and then 10 points. Just briefly explain as best you can Walter Murch's 6-tiered approach to finding the right cut. A couple of sentences each, nothing much. Like, what is it and what does it do? And some of these really will help you. Like, it might seem, some of it might go a little over your head. It shouldn't, but it might. I know, like, the last two for me kind of did it first. But it'll make sense. And I can, if you ever have questions with them, just email me and I can help you with it. But these will be 6 things that will help you along the way as you're editing, to be considering. Okay. I'll just mention this one since I'm right here. This again is a link to get Premiere Pro, and there's a student discount that goes with it. I have had students just buddy up, and if you do get it, it's like $20 a month for a year or something like that. I can't remember if you just do a la carte, like a month by month. I think it's a little bit more, but here again is a link. Okay, so you got 2 edits. The first one is the Eagle edit, and I'll provide you with the footage, but so make sure you watch the lectures before you start this. Again, because one of them really kind of goes over everything. But first thing you're going to do is get the footage. I'll show you how to get that in just a second. If you're having issues getting it through Google, let me know. Or Dr. Coppersmith has it, and it will be in the Mac labs as well. It should be loaded on the computers there, and it should just say Eagle Edit and Horror Edit, so you have both of them there. Again, here's a link to that Premiere Pro. I highly encourage you use this. If this is something you're thinking of as a career, then investing in this is a good idea right now. You don't have to do it past the class, but you should learn how to use this. If you're having financial issues, whatever, no judgment, totally understand. I was a college student once, so here is a free one that some students have found success with. It may leave a watermark, and it may not let you do any of the fancy kind of cool stuff that Premiere would, but at least you're kind of getting the assignment. So what I want to get you away from is editing on your phone. That's just kind of not, it's just not the same thing. I know it can be done, but try and at least get something on a computer. So this is a 50-point assignment. This is just get your hands dirty editing. Just edit the footage and the audio provided. Make sure your video and the audio is smooth. Like, is the audio blasting? Is it way too loud? And is it quiet in some parts and then rupturing your eardrum in the next? So balanced audio right now. Like, we won't just make sure your audio is smooth and balanced. The volume you have the computer or your laptop set at is different than what the final product will look like. So once you get into Premiere and you've watched his lectures, you need to be following your audio monitor to make sure that you're not peaking, which is when that volume hits as loud as it can go. Because sometimes you don't realize it because it's just you have the volume turned down on your computer, so you assume when you export it, that's how loud it's going to be. When in reality, how it's exporting and what you're hearing are different. make sure you turn in the project file and your exported video. So let me find examples. Okay, so right here you can see this has got the Premiere logo with it. A lot of times students will turn something like this in, or here, better yet, this one, when I opened Premiere and I created a new project, I named it Eagle. This is your project file. This is not your video. So if I were to double click on this right now, it's going to open Premiere and it's going to open to where I had saved this last. This is not the video. Okay, so a video, go back over here, will be something like this, right? And it's got the little logo of my video player. I use, oh my gosh, I just totally, VLC. And you should be able to click on whatever. So this is a promo of my company.
Need space?
And better half.
As to why, and there you go. I have a video playing. It's not opening Premiere. So this is an export. This is an export of my Book 7 Entertainment promo, right? I'll go into how to organize and store all your stuff, but I want both things. I want the project file and I want the video itself. Why? Because I want you to learn to differentiate the two. And this is the way that I found it. So, little logo and the video itself. Again, I'll go into export and export settings so you should understand. What'll really help is, and I'll go into this too, is for each of your projects, what I would do is just create one Eagle Edit, and then you'll just do the same thing for the other one. So on my desktop, I have something called the Eagle Edit. Go back over into here, and I'll just remember that's there. We'll come back to it in just a second. I'm going to take some points off if both are missing. Why? Because I want to, if we get to the end of the semester and somebody still can't know the difference between the project file and the video or export, then I've not done my job as a professor. So I really want to, I'd rather get you now and say, hey, you didn't turn in the right thing, I'm going to dock you points, than, when you're turning in your final cut and you're like, oh, I did turn it in. It's like, no, you turned in the project file. What's the difference? Don't normally have that. That's typically the students who then, when I go in, they haven't watched any of the lectures and they've kind of been doing this, all semester and just turning in their work all at once late. For this assignment, I encourage you to download music of your choosing that is appropriate for the video. I actually supplied you with some so you can kind of work on blending voice and music together. One thing you should do, watch your exported video before you upload it. So a lot of students do that. What happens is, as they're editing, they don't realize that there's like 20 minutes of black screen that they exported after their video. So it's a good habit to get in case down the road you get clients and you don't want to look like you didn't know what you were doing and you sent them their commercial and they can't send it to CBS to put on air because it's got, this wrong or that wrong or whatever. So always watch your exported video before you upload it. And then also in this case, watch the video lectures for this module for all instructions before you start. So why did that do that? Just cancel that. Okay, so now to get the footage, you'll click and it will bring you right to the Eagle Edit. What you can do, right click, download. It'll zip it. You just tell it where you want it to save. And that's really all there is to it. I'm going to, remember I created that Eagle Edit. I'm going to open that, save it there. Eagle Edit, okay. It must still be working on it. We'll come back to that in just a second. That's kind of why I didn't want to open it. There's always something. It's still downloading it. Okay, let me open it now. It says it's done. There we go. Okay, so it's labeled footage. That's great right now. Gonna open it, and we can see everything's here. what I would do, you'll see this in here, extract all, click that, click browse, go back to desktop, Eagle Edit, new folder. We'll just call this the video. Select folder, extract, and there you go. So now under Eagle Edit Video, I have my footage. All right, and then what you'll do for the same is you'll create an audio one here. And then you're operating off of your desktop to edit. That's what you're going to import when Premiere says what footage, what video, what anything like that you want to bring in. Okay, so then this is all your extracted stuff here. You don't necessarily need that. Okay, there you go. One thing as you're doing this, and I'm going to have you edit to the narration. So if they're talking about eagles and nests, let's say, I'm going to go through my footage. This eagle down, okay. One lands. Nope, not really much anything in that one. Let me open up one more. If they're talking about, some eagles don't develop the white head until later in life, then this would be a good clip to use because the video is matching what the narration is saying. Okay, so that's really all I'm kind of getting is get your hands wet, but edit to the narration. Okay, so if it's talking about wings, find a clip where it's showcasing the eagle's wings. If it's talking about nests, find one with a nest in it. Okay, and you're just going to kind of edit to that just to get some practice in. Close that down. We'll go back over. Okay, so the only thing really different, you'll go through I would do the eagle one first. You'll kind of get an idea of how it works. This horror scene is, let me show you on the footage. So the only difference with this is you're going to have a script to edit to. So you're going to just follow along with this script. So read this first and edit along. Like, so interior warehouse night. We see down a dark hallway and Becky's head pops up against the wall on the right side of the frame. All right, so then find that, and you're going to kind of edit to this, right? This is more of a film scene, and I had one student once out of all the years I've been using it. This is just free footage that some people put out online so that students could practice to edit. It's cheesy. It's not scary. You will not be scared. One student I had, she was terrified to edit it because she's like, I get so scared of horror films. She did one of the more disturbing cuts of this that I've ever seen, and it's not bad. It's like cheesy 80s almost kind of style. It's hard to be scared when you can hear the director telling the masked person to come running in, and they're just, you'll know when I see it. It's, Sesame Street is probably scarier. But again, you'll download everything, edit to the script. The instructions for this, basically kind of the same thing. I'm not going to be too crazy difficult on the grade for this because I'm gonna assume most of you this is fairly new. But one thing I can tell is I can tell whether you're new or not how much time you put into it. I just can. I've been doing it long enough that I know. Like sometimes students are like, "Oh, this is like really hard. I just didn't get it, and it was hard." It's like, okay, well, I'm looking at it, and I can tell you did like 20 minutes. Versus the student who's like, "Oh, this is really hard. I just, I was really struggling with it," and I'll look at it and go, "Okay, well, I can tell you spent about a couple days on it." I just know how long it takes you to do certain things, and so just put forth some effort. There are two components to this too, which is there is a chase scene and a dialogue scene. So somebody wakes up from a dream that they were having, and then they go and tell their roommate about it. So they're getting chased in their dream, they wake up, and they go and they'll tell their roommate. One thing I failed to mention, in the footage, why it's like this, I don't know, because this is how the footage came to me. But some of these clips have more than one shot on them. and I know it's a pain, but when you get this into Premiere or whatever editing software you use, you need to make sure to watch all of every clip, because I think I can't remember, and I'm not even going to guess. But some of these, you'll think it's done, like, they do take one, take two, take three, or whatever, and you're like, okay, there's just three takes, but the player stops right here. There's still more. So watch all the clip to make sure. Somehow these just got to where there's like, some of them have 5 or 6 shots in them. So just be aware of that as you're going. Okay. Again, watch the lectures before you begin. Read the script before you begin. Make sure to add 5 seconds of black before your video that has your name at the start. And then I have 2 videos here. They're real short. Actually, they're just Google links on how to do it. Both of these are very easy to do, and I forgot to mention that in my lecture on how to do that. But each video, as we progress, I'm going to have you do more and more at the beginning. But at a minimum, I just like your name. Can you throw a title in there? Why not? But just add 5 seconds of black and then your name. That's all you'll need. Watch your exported video before you submit. Make sure your submitted file has your name, last name, and horror edit. So what I mean by that is just, let's go back over. Where did I have my movies? All right, so let's say this is my video here. When you go to export, you can name it, or you can just do like this. So Matthew Foss horror edit. Okay. With video files and stuff like that, do underscore, don't do spaces. I could put one there if I really wanted to be. Again, this just makes it nice and easy for me as I'm grading, and it makes you look, more professional going forward. And like I said, I'll kind of start adding things on here. That's kind of funny. I have horror, and it's like my little nephew there. So let's go back to video. But that's one way you can change it. Very easy. Just renaming a file. But a lot of times what happens is the files will come in and it'll be like that weird 002369J. It'll be whatever it'll just be complex. Once again, make sure for this, just upload your video, not the project file. So make sure it's the video. How will you know it's a video? Well, you watched it because you clicked on it. You watched it all the way through. So grading. Did you follow directions? Is there clear and balanced audio? Do you have 5 seconds of black screen with your name in the title? Does it seem rushed or done last minute? So I'm looking for effort. Feel free to be creative. You can use music. How you get that music is up to you. I won't ask question. This is for educational purposes, so I don't mind if you use copyrighted stuff. You're not going out and selling this. You're just practicing right now. So don't try and monetize your video, and you'll be fine. So that is that scene. This is 150 points. So Eagle Edit 50 points, 150 points. So you can kind of gauge that as far as balancing out your work life for this module. I'm going to go ahead and make this available. So it should be there for you now. That is it, folks. Again, please email me if you have any questions. And my email, once again, proffoss24@gmail.com. All right, thank you all so much. Enjoy it. Again, I don't think there'll be as much video watching in the future, so hopefully you enjoy and get a lot out of this session. All right.